Most retirement calculators will give you a number. This video gives you your number. You have probably heard figures like $1 million or 1.5 million thrown around as the magic retirement target. Financial media loves a round number, but here is the truth. Those numbers are almost completely meaningless. Without knowing your personal situation, a couple spending $40,000 a year in retirement needs an entirely different nest egg than a couple spending $95,000 a year. And neither of them needs the same number as you do. What I'm going to walk you through today is the exact framework I use to calculate the real retirement number, broken down into 4 inputs. By the end of this video, you will know your number, not a generic guess. Here is the problem that nobody talks about clearly. You have probably been told to follow something called the 25 times rule. Save 25 times your annual expenses and you are good to go. Or maybe you have been told to aim for 80% of your pre-retirement income. These rules exist because they are easy to say, not because they are accurate for your specific life. The 80% income rule assumes your spending in retirement mirrors your spending while working. But most people in retirement, especially in the first decade, actually spend more, not less. Travel, hobbies, home renovation projects you have been putting off for 20 years, golf and time with your grandchildren. The idea that you will automatically spend less just because you stopped going to an office is one of the most persistent myths in personal finance. And the 25 times rule? It is based on a 4% withdrawal rate that was calculated in 1994. The world has changed dramatically since then. Sequence of returns risk, which is the danger of a market downturn hitting right when you retire, was not fully accounted for in those original calculations. So, what is actually happening out here? People are doing one of 3 things. They are either retiring too early because a generic calculator told them they were ready, or they are working too long because anxiety keeps moving the goalposts every single year, or they are outsourcing the entire decision to an advisor without really understanding the plan themselves. None of those is a good outcome. What you actually need is a framework that accounts for your spending, your guaranteed income sources, and your timeline. That is exactly what I am going to walk you through right now, step by step. First, there's the 25 times rule and the 80% rule. But generic rules lead to failure, retiring too early, working too long, or outsourcing your future blindly. None of these is a good outcome. Let us build this properly. There are 4 inputs to your retirement number, and you need all 4. Miss one of them, and the output is wrong. I am going to walk you through each one using a real example couple. I will call them Mark and Linda. They are 58 years old, they plan to retire at 63, and they want to know their real number. Follow along and plug in your own figures as we go. Input 1, your actual annual retirement spend. And I want to stress the word actual because this number is almost always wrong on the first attempt. You are not calculating what you spend today at your working income. You are projecting what you expect to spend when you are actually retired. Think in categories: housing, mortgage or rent, utilities, maintenance, food and groceries. Healthcare, this one almost always gets underestimated. Travel, and be honest with yourself here. Hobbies, any charitable giving. And then the miscellaneous pile that everyone forgets to budget for. Mark and Linda went through this exercise carefully, after accounting for everything including 2 or 3 trips a year and the hobbies they have been putting off. They landed on $72,000 per year in today's dollars. That is their target annual spend in retirement. Now here is the thing most people get wrong when they run this number. They use their current spending as the baseline, and then just assume they will spend a little less because they are not commuting or buying work clothes. That is not how retirement actually works for most people, especially the first decade. Build your spending estimate honestly. You are planning the rest of your life, not a budget for an austerity program. Get the number right. Mark and Linda got it right, $72,000 a year. That is input 1 locked in. Input 2, your guaranteed income floor. This is the money that shows up every single month. Whether the stock market goes up or whether it crashes 40%, it does not care what the Dow Jones is doing. It just arrives. Social Security is the big one for most Americans. But this category also includes any pension payments, rental income from property you own, annuity income if you have one, or any part-time work income you plan to maintain in early retirement. For Mark and Linda, if they both claim Social Security at 67, which is their full retirement age, their combined monthly benefit is around $3,800 per month. That is $45,600 a year. Mark also has a small pension from his employer that adds $600 a month or $7,200 per year. Their total guaranteed income floor, $52,800 per year. Now watch what happens when we subtract that from their annual spend. Their portfolio only needs to cover $19,200 a year, not $7,200. $19,200, that changes everything. This is the step most generic calculators completely skip. They ask you how much you spend, and they calculate as if your portfolio has to fund every single dollar. They completely ignore the guaranteed income that is already headed your way. That mistake adds hundreds of thousands of dollars to the number people think they need. And it is the reason so many people believe they can never retire. Input 3, your withdrawal rate, and this is where we need to have an honest conversation about the 4% rule. The 4% rule says, withdraw 4% of your portfolio in year 1 of retirement, then adjust for inflation each year, and your money should last 30 years. It was groundbreaking research when it was published in 1994. The problem is that the world has changed. We are living longer. Sequence of returns risk is now better understood, and a 30-year retirement assumption is too short for many people. And a 30-year retirement assumption is too short for many people retiring in their early 60s today. For most people planning to retire in their early to mid-60s, I recommend using 3.5% as your planning rate. It gives you a meaningful margin of safety without being so conservative that you end up oversaving and underliving. Here is the formula. Take your annual portfolio gap in Mark and Linda's case, $19,200, and divide it by your withdrawal rate. So, $19,200 divided by 3.5%. The result is $548,571. Round up for a margin of safety, and Mark and Linda's target portfolio is approximately $570,000. Not $1.5 million, not $2 million. $570,000 because they did the math correctly instead of following a generic rule of thumb. Input 4, the buffer. This is where most calculators stop, and it is a mistake. The buffer accounts for 3 real risks that every retiree faces. First, a major unexpected healthcare event. Second, a significant market downturn in the first 2 to 3 years. And third, inflation running hotter than your planning assumptions over a long period of time. I recommend keeping a minimum of 10 to 15% on top of your portfolio, held separately in a high-yield savings account or short-term bonds, not invested in equities, liquid, available. That buffer is what keeps you from being forced to sell stocks at the worst possible time because the furnace broke down in January or because you had an unexpected medical bill. For Mark and Linda, adding a 15% buffer brings their total target to right around $655,000. That is their full, real retirement number, calculated from their actual situation, not a generic rule of thumb. Now, 3 things that most financial advisors do not explain clearly. These are the insights that separate the people who retire comfortably from the people who spend their entire retirement anxious about money. Insight 1. The sequence of your returns matters more than your average return. Most people plan around average market returns, 7, 8, or 10% depending on who you ask. But averages are deeply misleading when it comes to retirement. Here is why. A 30% market drop in year 1 of your retirement does far more damage than the exact same drop in year 15. Why? Because in year 1, you are withdrawing money while your portfolio is simultaneously shrinking. That permanently reduces the base from which your portfolio can recover. This is called sequence of returns risk, and it is the single biggest reason why some retirees run out of money despite having what looked like a sufficient nest egg on paper. Insight 2. Your Social Security claiming decision is worth more than most people realize, and most people get it wrong. Claiming Social Security at 62 versus waiting until 70 is not just an 8-year decision. For the average married couple, the difference in lifetime Social Security income is between $100,000 and $250,000. Most people claim early because they are worried about losing the money if they die young. But the math on delayed claiming almost always favors waiting. We will do a full deep dive on Social Security timing in a dedicated video because this decision alone can be worth more than an entire year of additional savings. Insight 3. Your retirement spending is not a flat line, and planning as if it is will give you the wrong number. Research on actual retiree spending shows a consistent pattern across millions of households. Spending is highest in the early go-go years, roughly 62 to 74, when you are healthy, active, and doing all the things you put off while working. Then it drops naturally in the slow-go years, roughly 75 to 84, as activity levels decline. Then it ticks back up slightly at the end due to healthcare costs. Planning for a flat line overestimates what you need by a significant margin. If your retirement plan shows you running out of money using flat spending, run it again using the curve. You may discover you have far more margin than you thought. Let me give you the complete picture for Mark and Linda before we wrap up. Annual spend of $72,000 minus their guaranteed income floor of $52,800 leaves a portfolio gap of $19,200 per year. Divide that by 3.5%, add a 15% buffer, and their real retirement number is approximately $655,000, not $1.5 million. That is the 4-input framework. And the reason it works is because it is built on your actual situation, not a generic calculator that has never asked what your Social Security benefit is going to be. Here is where most people are right now. They have the framework, they roughly understand the calculation, but they have not actually run their own numbers yet. And that is completely fine, because that is exactly what this channel is here to help you do, one piece at a time. The next video covers the Social Security timing decision in full, the exact break-even math for claiming at 62, 67, and 70. I will show you the scenarios, run the numbers, and tell you what most advisors get wrong about this decision. It is one of the most valuable calculations most people have never actually done. If you want that video the moment it goes live, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I publish every Saturday morning. No filler, no sponsored content pushing products you do not need. Just the actual information you need to make smart retirement decisions with confidence. I will see you next Saturday. Up next, Social Security at 62 versus 67 versus 70. The exact break-even math, so you know which age wins for your situation. That is the video on the left. I will see you there.